Awesome. Right, my number 3 is a game that I think is probably high up on your list as well. Is Fez.
My number 3.
Oh, cool. I'm completely undecided, mate. To be honest, I'm completely undecided. I went in, I read all about it. Everyone was super excited about it in the media. Wasn't doing a review myself, so I was able to do it just off my own back. I was really excited going in. I love stuff like this generally, but I was concerned that my head wouldn't be able to get around it. And then that's basically what happened. Basically, I'll say what happened to me when I was a kid. When I used to live in Brighton when I was very young, 6, 7 years old, our house had a garden, and we used to get on with our next door neighbours, some old people. And when I go into the back garden, they were on my left. And so I'm 6 years old, and I chat to them. But when I went out the front door, their house was on the right, and I could not. And bear in mind, I was a pretty smart kid. I did, I was top of my class and stuff like that. I could not work out how their house moved sides. And ever since then, I've had this weird disconnect with directions, and Fez fucks me up to the point where there is something. It's some like dyslexia of directions or something in my brain, and it's caused me all sorts of trouble. I've walked in the wrong direction in London so many times, it's not even funny. So having to spin a world round to try and work out what direction it should be when you spun it round 180 degrees, my brain actually can't do it. I can't think it or visualise it, I just have to guess.
How did you even get past the first screen?
By just pressing the button until I was like, oh, I can get there now. But I can't, I can't plan ahead. My brain can't do it. So it's all guesswork. It's just pressing a button until, oh, I can do it now. And that seems antithetical to the purpose and joy of the game. But on the flip side of that, once I stopped worrying about it, when I went back to Fez and started taking it less seriously and stopped worrying about what my brain can or cannot do, I started enjoying it more, and then I stopped. So I want to hear what you have to say about it before I talk anymore.
I knew exactly what I thought about Fez until yesterday when I just randomly stuck it on, and I haven't reevaluated what I think, but I know that I'm not done with it yet.
I think the exact same things happened to me. I really do.
I was so happy with the way I felt about it, in that it was not for me. I mean, one thing I do think that's wrong with it is that it's quite dishonest about what it actually is. The first three and a half hours are one thing, and then the actual game reveals itself, and it's nothing like that. There's something very, very. I mean, if I say dishonest, but that's quite negative. I mean, it was negative. 2 days ago, I was just like, yeah, it's not, upfront about what it is. It's. My feelings are very weird. First of all, I don't think that the things that everyone's praised, the first half of the game, the first 3 hours, I should say, of the game, which is all based on that dynamic, people have compared it to top flight AAA, like first party Nintendo stuff, and that is way overstating it. There are a couple of nice moments, like, have you got to the bit where you sort of force the explosion to travel round to...
That's just where I am. That's exactly where I am.
That's a really nice moment. There's a couple of cool block puzzles and stuff, but it's not breathtaking, I don't think. It never made me feel that square. I kind of breezed through it until... Have you got... so you haven't got to the...
That's basically where I am. I'm just doing that, spinning the thing around and exploding stuff. Okay,
well, I mean, I've got to the observation tower with the telescope, and everything becomes incredibly cryptic. And a lot of people have used the word obtuse, and it is obtuse, but some people like that. I'm not one of them, and the unnecessarily sort of vague map really wound me up.
That thing with my brain is a joke. It's just like I turned it on the second I saw it. I was like, "Yep, there's nothing I can gain nothing from this."
But it's not, especially if you have a problem with direction. You walk through a door. The perspective zooms into the background, so you see where you're going. If you walk back through the same door, it doesn't go backwards; it just goes forwards again. So you can't. Your brain doesn't have any sense of whether you're progressing or you're backtracking.
It couldn't be any worse the way my brain works. It's just a nightmare.
It's like you're always going forward, and then there's doors that you leave. and then you're like, maybe that's the way forward, but it's not that. It's not what it's. That's not what it's about, and I've learned that since going back to it. And the map didn't even seem that intimidating. I actually looked at it, realised that those little discs that show different parts of the world, there is actually a little visual cue which I didn't realise as to where that part of the world is and what it looks like, so you know kind of where you're going.
Right.
I turned it on the other day, didn't know where I was, walked into a door, brought the map up. I basically followed the map, found a goal, completed it, and I was like, fuck. And the sort of Sunday afternoon laziness, the fact that there's no enemies and you can't die, and it's a very specific type of game. The only thing that I think is that people could play the first 3 hours, and then it's like riding a roller coaster into a brick wall, because it becomes a completely different game.
I don't even know what happens, so I'm intrigued just by you saying that.
But it becomes a different game. I mean, a completely different game. Something that doesn't even really incorporate the perspective shifting. It's a mystery to me. I'm going to stick with it. I don't think I'm going to end up solving any of the puzzles, but I'm going to stick with it and see what happens, because having been dead set that it's not for me, although that's another thing I'll say, it's like Journey. It's a must-buy. The money that you pay is worth it just to find out whether it's your thing or not.
Yeah.
It's absolutely worth it. And I'm judging it like it's a full-price game. I mean, 3 hours of really, really entertaining platforming is not to be, for 800 points, you can't really...
Of course, yeah.
So I'm a mess. I don't even know what I think about it yet, but I need to try and finish it, I think.
I listened to the Giant Bombcast today, and I'm up and down on those guys, but they did a great thing on Fez for about 30 minutes of them just talking about it, praising it, almost like we've done, but and one of them ended up saying it's like the actual recreation of someone's descent into insanity in a video game, and I was like, that kind of piqued my interest. I'm like, oh, this probably isn't what I think it is right now. I definitely need to go back and check out and play more, and ignore the fact that my brain doesn't work, and just try and sort of kind of force myself through this game.
Yeah, I'm gonna make a little. I mean, the puzzles are getting. They've already got to the point where I know that I don't think I could ever. I'd have to cheat, and that completely defeats the whole objective.
But they were saying the same thing on that podcast. They were saying, if you feel like that, just cheat. It's worth it. That's what they're saying. They finished it.
Oh wow!
They say don't beat yourself up. Just cheat. Don't worry about it.
That's okay. Fuck, that's weird.
Yeah.
All right. Well, no, I'm totally not done with it yet. And like I said, it's essentially a must buy. If you have an Xbox 360 and you're even vague, if you're aware of its existence, buy it, because either you'll enjoy it more than enough to warrant the purchase, or you'll fall madly in love with it. And that's really. I love. I popped onto a couple of gaming forums over the last few days, and just people are so madly in love and just like feverish about how in love with this game they are, and that I just love that as someone who loves video games. It's so nice to see people so enamoured like that. But yeah, I'm not done with it yet. But my perspective in the last sort of 48 hours has done a complete U-turn. So
brilliant. Your perspective's done a U-turn. You couldn't describe it any better.
Genuine.
Good stuff.